We're smooth 98.1 FM. Love music, love life. It is time for us to get into everything related to business. First off this morning, and guess who's helping us make a crunch of all of this? Well, the founder of the Money with Club, and you would find out why she set up this club when she begins to crush the numbers for us this morning. Help us make welcome Oladele, Chief Financial.
Hi.
Good morning to you.
Mhm. Good
Okay,
morning.
so in everything, people would always look for scapegoats and people to take the fall, but it seems we are passing the buck on to our students at this time and probably those who go on medical tourism at this time. As we get into the conversation, are foreign students to blame for the Naira decline is what we're putting up to you this morning. So let's get what your thoughts are this morning. I'll send them across to the line on 0809 444 0981 WhatsApp message 0809 444 0981. Ola, let's begin with this. We had the financial handlers of the country, the exchequer, if it's sometimes that's the finance minister, the CBN governor, and all of those persons who should be about the economy. They were in the National Assembly yesterday to begin to speak about all of these issues. So how important was this for members of the president's economic team to address lawmakers at the Hallowed Chamber yesterday?
I think it was very important. I think it's even too late. Like they should have been going and explaining over and over again since the beginning of this new government, right? The fact is this, the lawmakers are our representative. The they all can't go to every single state and meet every single person to explain. The idea is that your lawmaker is close to you and you tell your lawmaker your issues or your challenges, and they represent you with the executive. And so I think that this is an engagement that should continue and should be consistent. And I also hope that tangible things come out of it as against just presenting and sharing data.
Okay. Long overdue. So I stumbled on this article from the cable newspaper where the CBN governor at this moment said in the last 10 years, Nigerian students spent about 40 billion US dollars on education, health sector abroad. That's according to Katoso. But this leads us to the bigger question. The CBN governor's address to the lawmakers he has been talking have gotten most attention because of his presentation and demand and supply dynamics of the forex at the time. So you mentioned that amount and there's a speed. What do you make of this? Is this just putting just let's find a blame and where to place the bulk of our forex issue right now? Is that what it was all about?
So to be honest, 40 billion over 10 years on anything in Nigeria is not much. If you put it into the context of the turnover of USD within the nation, I do not think if you spread it over the 10 years on average, you say 4 billion a year.
Mm.
The fact is Nigerian economy at some point, the kind of numbers we're turning over in our FX market, that means in the interbank FX market, the 4 billion is not significant, right? So I'm not sure. I don't think the data in itself speaks can be used in isolation. It needs to be put into context, right? In that same period, how much was your diaspora inflow? In that same period, how much was your FX or your oil inflows, right? When you start having those kind of numbers, then you now see what was the percentage that went into healthcare and education abroad. Yes, maybe a UK or a US might not have these numbers, right? But they don't have the kind of educational system that we do, or the healthcare system that we have, right? So maybe we shouldn't be spending that money. But that money is in private pockets. It's not like it's the government that spent it. So you have no control over how people choose to spend their money. But the question is maybe how much has the government spent on these sectors, and that has actually entered these sectors in the same past 10 years.
But then some would argue that our collective private behavior sums up into what is digging this hole for us where we're trying to get our way out right now.
Yeah, so if you put that into context, right? Before people were not traveling abroad for education. If you travel abroad, it's for masters, right? Healthcare the little things that people travel abroad right now. Before, it wasn't like that. You would need something that you could not find here. A doctor would say, oh, we don't have the skills or the facilities for this, right? You also find that people giving the birth to children abroad. There was a time when Nigerians had the option of having their children in the UK, but they didn't take it because there was no need. Right? So it is not, the behavior is not just in isolation, it's a response to things that have happened over time. So if we want to change behavior, you have to change some fundamentals, not just tell people don't do, right? Nobody really wants to travel abroad and stay alone for 3 months after your first child, right? Just to fight to get a passport for your child. Nobody really wants to do that. But there's something that is making them that informed to say, I must go through this stress at this time for a better good, for something good in the future. So it's not in isolation.
In this year's submission a while now, you talked about a change of behavior, which you called for, and it would look like we need to see that also coming from the top. So let's backtrack a bit. The immediate past president, Muhammadu Buhari, had calls to, spend time with his doctor, of course. For him, it was London. But presently, it looks like Paris is, so Paris, London looks like the good point at this point. As a matter of fact, presently, the president of the country, Bola Tinubu, is on a private visit to France. We don't even for what now. So what does that say about our healthcare system, building up of what you just said a while ago?
It's right in front of us. It's a vote of no confidence. It actually is a vote of no confidence when the person at the helm of affair, from the last, will I say dispensation, from the last government to this one, to every state governor, right, is traveling abroad for healthcare. So you can't see that. And then as an individual, if you're able to gather your money together and to travel, or maybe have insurance that will cover you, we will take it, right? So behavior needs to start from the top. And I mean, healthcare is very critical, such that you don't want to use your life as the experiment. You understand what I mean? So you do what you need to do. If we want to change that behavior, then it starts with, how do you strengthen the health sector?
How do we strengthen the health sector at this time? This in itself will say, okay, yes, we have to still stick with our leaders. And some persons suggest political office holders, as a matter of fact, should be the starting point. They should not be allowed to even travel abroad for healthcare, and should be allowed to send their children, not be even allowed to send their children overseas. Do you see this as a very harsh measure? Because, of course, that the public office holders does not mean that they don't have right, or you should encroach on the rights of their children to healthcare and to education where they choose to have it.
So it's one of those things. I do agree with it, but I think the implementation will be the challenge. You pretty much cannot do that today and say with effect from today. I would say it's something that needs to be passed into law effective 3 to 5 years from now, right? Such that the onus is on them to begin to fix those sectors, because you need time for those sectors to be brought up to speed, right? So I do agree with that. The way there's some political office holders that maybe you cannot have dual citizenship, right? Those are the kind of things that would force the right behavior from the center.
This in itself also calls to question, before we let this rest, because it's health related now, only just barely over 24 hours ago, we heard from the King Charles making public his health status after the visit, saying this is what it is. What does that say about, is there something we can also learn in terms of business, the way government conducts business, of the public office holders in trying to be transparent with people back home here?
Of course, it's something that it's laudable, it's encouraged. The fact is this, but you have to also think that the fact that your health situation is private to you, but then there are some critical roles within the nation that people need to know. People should know what is happening, so we can position a plan as a nation, right? And also to avoid whispers and different stories coming up, right? But I guess it's for me, I think the issue the challenge I have is more about traveling abroad for healthcare than it is about keeping private whatever your health situation is, because you do have a right to be private. And then of course I would believe that your principals, like the people that are significant, would know what it is. I think that is the minimum acceptable thing. But the most important thing is, why are we having to travel abroad for healthcare?
It's private, but then the public covers pays for it. What makes it private then?
It's one of those things where it's your choice. The disclosure has to be your choice.
Okay. So we'd like you to, I don't know if you have a crystal ball beside you there, but let's try, because we know. What do you see about the Forex situation? Do you see it easing anytime this year?
How I'll answer that question is, what are the things that you would see that will make you know that it's going to start easing, right? One thing for a fact is, when the government becomes consistent in their communication, right? The Ministry of Finance is trying to bring down interest rates. The central bank is trying to take up interest rates. The Ministry of Finance is doing one, central bank is doing the other, or the government is spending $1 million on 10 cars, things like that. The more we see things like that, what happens is that the herd behavior of no trust and let me just buy dollar when I see is going to continue, right? But when we begin to see consistency in the posture and the body language of the government, when there's alignment in the direction, right? And we begin to see things like that happen, then we know that, okay, people are going to calm down. Because what it simply is right now is that people are not hearing. As they see the dollar, they are buying, right? And that herd behavior needs to be changed. And like I said before, the herd behavior is driven by something. Once that thing calms down, then we will begin to calm down, because the currency has no reason to be where it is right now.
So in essence, where would this much needed FX, where would it even come from to help us taper down this situation, this rush for it now?
Also, there are many things that we can do. The first thing is that if our policies are aligned, if people can see that you can bring money in and out, offshore investors will come in, right? We've opened up the power sector. There's a lot to be done, right? We actually have sectors that have a lot of capacity to receive foreign direct investments. So it's more about, are we really positioned to receive it? So that one is even there. And when FDI is coming, not even FPIs, FDI is a direct, they want to invest in stuff. They come and they bring massive capital, right? So there's that one. There's also things like privatizing sectors in the economy, right? Privatizing government establishments. There's money. There are things that we have assets that can be converted to capital. But the question is, when we get that cash, where is it going? If it's going to people's pockets, then we are still going to be on the same trajectory.
Well, your tray is almost empty, just one item left for you. And that's relating because we see the fan base of the Money with Club is on the rise. And of course, the interest of the listener right now is also there. So we'd like you to leave them with something. How do you protect purchasing power during this weak currency times we are in?
So there are two things. Number one, inflation is affecting everybody, such that you cannot control the price of tomato going from 100 Naira to 200. So you can't do that. The only thing you can do is, one, fight to make more money, right? You have to upskill, find other things that you can do too. And then you also have to invest, right? That's the only way you can preserve your savings, the value of your savings, by actually finding viable opportunities, because there are a lot of them around, viable opportunities that you can put your money in and invest.
We touched on every aspect of what we laid for the agenda this morning, and that's so let's pick up messages to see what we are looking at. Tayo is here with some comments here. Foreign students and medical tourism to blame, but are legislators importing vehicles from abroad and leaving on government largesse and not right? So blame one, blame the other. It's called equation. Well, that's quite much equation or simultaneous equation back in the days. What you do
It's
to the
balanced.
left,
I
so
think it's
you
a balanced equation. Yeah.
So let's go. And it says, let's continue to play the ostrich. I'd like to also welcome our president from his private visit to France. Prince Charles isn't a Nigerian government official because transparency isn't in their dictionary. And finally, Lubuluko comes up with a message here. Perhaps medical tourism for politicians and senior civil servants should be suspended for a long long time, this ban would make them develop our health sector and make it the best in Africa. Well, that's what he says. Austin's message is our final one. If no one is typing at this time, Austin from Satellite goes on. When someone looks for where to rest his hand and did not see, it would rest it on his knees. How can CBN governor blame scarcity of dollars in overseas study and medical tourism? Nigeria don't export much. How can we earn FX? That's foreign exchange. Former CBN governor has been asking NNPC, where are the dollars? Oh, where are the dollars? Now, let government make our universities safe for students, build and equip our hospitals. Until then, fire continues. Austin from Satellite. That's the side of the show. Oladele. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your
so
time.
much. Have a beautiful day.
All
Bye.
right. Are you cheering for the Eagles today? The Super
Of
Eagles?
course. Of
Okay.
course.
Let's go,
Go
Eagles. Have a great
Eagles.
day. Bye.